Now, News Watch 12's Ducks vs. Beavers special. Presented by Airport Chevy.
Welcome to this year's Ducks vs. Beavers special. Thanks for spending your Thanksgiving with us. I'm Madison Marie.
I'm Peyton Manny. If you would have told us last season when we were sitting here that this might be the final game between these two teams as we know it, I don't think I would have believed it.
I don't think so either. Things have really changed throughout the year, from conference realignment to the way Oregon and Oregon State are performing on the field. This year's game is gearing up to be a great show.
It is, but before we get into this week's game, let's run through the season for these two teams, starting off with the Ducks.
Let's go. Lots of changes within the Oregon program happened over the offseason, leaving conference realignment conversations for later. Oregon lost 34 players to the transfer portal over the offseason, but combated that by recruiting 29 true freshmen and 15 transfer portal additions.
And those transfers made a difference this season. From Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden to Kyrie Jackson, all 15 players have played a key role on the team this year.
Along with a roster turnover, Bo Nix made his decision to return this year and run for another Heisman contention. Nick's ability to lead the Ducks' high-powered offense and limit turnovers has kept him on the leaderboard.
Switching over to the coaching staff, the Ducks welcomed in new offensive coordinator Will Stein. Head coach Dan Lanning stepped into Autzen Stadium for his second time this season at the helm, and with the showing he put on last year, many expected a big one from him this year.
Let's start off with week one against Portland State. New offensive coordinator Will Stein showcased his system of playmakers, including a 100 receiving yard day and 2 touchdowns from both Troy Franklin and Gary Bryant Jr.
Overall, the Ducks threw for 381 yards and ran for 348. Their 81 points passed the modern record of 77 set against Southern Utah in 2017. Week 2 brought a tough matchup for Oregon, but the Ducks rose to the occasion. Out in Texas with the game on the line, Bo Nix marched his team down to the 20-yard line, setting up kicker Camden Lewis for a 34-yard field goal. And with 1 minute and 10 seconds left, the Red Raiders tried to make something happen, but time expired, and big guy Brandon Dorless got a hit on Tex quarterback and former Duck Tyler Shuck.
His pass went straight into the hands of Jeffrey Bassa for the pick 6, and that was game. Back in Eugene now, the Ducks extended the nation's longest non-conference home win streak with win number 32 against Hawaii.
Up 48-3 heading into the fourth, Oregon allowed just 79 passing yards by the Rainbow Warriors. But this game was when the penalties started to become a problem within the program.
9 penalties for 76 yards gave Hawaii the chance to put 10 points on the board. Then came the spotlight. Ducks, Buffaloes, cue the cameras.
Dan Lanning's pregame speech not only caught the attention of his team, but the whole college football world. The Ducks defense held the Buffaloes to 199 total yards, sacked Shedeur Sanders 7 times, and didn't allow 1 point until the final 3 minutes of the game, en route to their 42-6 victory.
But this dominating win only came in week 4, with a lot of work still left to be done.
We were prepared for a battle. It didn't end up being a battle, but I've also been on the other end of this before too, and I think that team's heading in the right direction. I think Coach is doing a phenomenal job. Obviously, he's brought great enthusiasm and response from his players, and I know that they'll bounce back from this game moving forward. But this is one game, right? And I'm not satisfied. So I just told our players, we're about to go play great quarterbacks. We're about to go play great teams moving forward, and it's about how good we can become, right? It's not really about who we play, and it's about Oregon versus Oregon every week.
Out in California a week later, it was a slow start for the Ducks. Oregon trailed 6-0 off 2 field goals early in the game against the Cardinal, but a key focus for Lanning and his Ducks this season is to play the full 60, and once both sides of the ball fell into a rhythm, the game was over. It sort of felt like deja vu from week 4 to week 5 as Oregon put the Cardinal away with a final of 42-6 after falling 6-0 early in the game. Oregon's defense held Stanford to less than 3 yards per play, totaling 5 more sacks. Offensively, Oregon finished the day with over 500 total yards, Bo Nix accounting for 308 total yards, 298 in the air and 18 on the ground. The Ducks went into their bye week with a 5-0 start for the first time since 2013.
And coming off of a bye, Oregon walked into a hostile Seattle Storm to face their toughest opponent yet. Back and forth the entire first half, the Ducks rallied into the lead in the third quarter with 2 touchdowns and a strong defense. But things took a turn when the Ducks were stopped on 4th down for the 3rd time in a game at midfield with under 2:30 left in the game. The Huskies drove down the field to score, and Oregon's last shot at tying the game ended when Lewis missed the field goal as time expired.
Trying to get back into the win column, the slow start against the Cougars quickly turned around once the Ducks' run game got started. Finishing with 248 rushing yards, the Ducks' explosive playmakers helped Oregon snag another win.
As for their defense, the Ducks found Cam Ward 6 times, including 1 sack by linebacker Justin Jacobs in his Oregon debut. Back on the road, I with the reigning Pac-12 champs, Oregon ended Utah's 18-game home win streak, the first win for the Ducks in Salt Lake City since 2016.
And it was in Utah that Bodacious came alive. Knicks finished the game 24 of 31 for 248 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with a rushing touchdown.
The penalties returned as Oregon finished with 8 for 58 yards, but that only gave the Utes the chance to put up 6 against the Ducks' 35.
And a slow start against the Golden Bears quickly turned into a Bo Nix spotlight. Nix accounted for 400 yards of offense and 6 touchdowns, along with his adopted brother Tez Johnson's 255 all-purpose yards.
The Ducks defense held Cal to 1 or fewer touchdowns for the 6th time in 9 games this season, while also forcing 2 fumbles on the day and 5 3-and-outs.
4 turnovers and 9 penalties reminded the Ducks that work was still needed in practice to remain in control of the game for all 4 quarters.
And despite the 13 penalties from the Ducks that allowed the Trojans to score the final 13 points of the game, Oregon defeated USC and the reigning Heisman winner in the front of the 5th largest crowd in Autzen Stadium history.
Oregon's defense sacked Caleb Williams 3 times while also recovering a fumble. As for the wide receiving core, Troy Franklin became the 12th player in Oregon history to surpass 1,000 yards in a season with an 84-yard touchdown reception. Then there was 1 game left before the rivalry we wait all year for.
The Ducks headed to the desert to face former offensive coordinator and now ASU head coach Kelly Dillingham and the Sun Devils.
Oregon snagged their 10th win of the season with a 49-13 victory over Arizona State.
To add, multiple players had record-setting days. Troy Franklin set a few single-season receiving records,
while Camden Lewis became the program's all-time leading scorer, and Bo Nix tied the school record with 6 touchdown passes, all in the first half.
Overall this season, we've seen the Ducks step up on both sides of the ball compared to last season.
We spoke with longtime Oregon columnist John Canzano earlier in the week to get his thoughts on Oregon as a whole.
It was really interesting to me to kind of see them develop an identity, and I think they did. By about week 5. We started to really get a feel for this Oregon team and how good they were defensively. They might be the fastest defense in the Pac-12, certainly on the western part of the United States. You've got, a team that it plays very opportunistic, pretty good against the run, pretty good against the pass, very disruptive with opposing quarterbacks. So, they have just gotten better and better and better.
And coming up, we'll dive into Oregon State's season as it stands ahead of the state rivalry. Stick with us. You're watching Beavers versus Ducks Special.
Newswatch 12's Ducks versus Beavers Special, presented by Airport Chevy.
The only way our electric and plumbing store is going to top Grover is to spy on them.
You're the boss, sir.
What do you see?
Same thing I always see. Customer smiles and happy faces.
If you need it, they have it.
They save me money. They save me time.
Real hometown service.
I can't see a thing. Ah, better.
Grover, a store like no other.
You can help fight hunger. Join Ray's Food Place and Newswatch 12 as we team up to stuff the truck and provide food to families in need.
Just find the Stuff the Truck table at any local Ray's Food Place where healthy food is already bagged and ready to donate.
All you do is purchase a bag when you check out and we'll take it from there.
Your donation will help fight hunger in our community.
Stuff the Truck. Just one more way Newswatch 12 is watching out for you. Brought to you by Ray's Food Place.
An official message from Medicare.
Let's give her a minute before we start. You know how she is.
Y'all check your Medicare plans? It's open enrollment.
No, why?
Because plans change each year. So can your health. Make sure you choose the right plan for you and your budget. You might save some money or get a few extras.
What I miss?
Open enrollment ends December 7th. Compare your prescription drug and health options at Medicare.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is the Ergo Smart Base from Tempur-Pedic, and it responds to snoring so you don't have to. So no more nudging your partner or sleeping on the other side of the house, because the Tempur Ergo Smart Base actually detects snoring, then automatically adjusts to help reduce it all night, every night.
Save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets and get a $300 gift. Denver Mattress, the easiest way to get the right Tempur-Pedic.
Welcome back to Ducks vs. Beavers Special, presented by Airport Chevy.
Welcome back to the Ducks vs. Beavers Special. We've broken down the past 12 weeks of Oregon's season, but now let's talk about the Oregon State Beavers.
Head coach of the Beavers, Jonathan Smith, completely flipped this football program around, leading them to their first 10-win season for only the third time in program history just last year.
While the Beavers were on the hunt for another winning season, they returned many star players and added on a few too.
Big changes stirred the pot for the Beavers as they welcomed in Clemson quarterback transfer DJ Uyunglele to Corvallis. The five-star out of St. John Bosco played at Clemson for 2 years before announcing his transfer to Oregon State.
On the other side of the ball, nearly 60% of the Beavers secondary is new this season, but the motto stayed the same for the Beavs, and that was to run the ball and be good at doing such. Starting on the road, 5 Beavers made their first start in the orange and black.
One of those 5 being starting quarterback DJ U.
The 42-17 win was the first road victory for Oregon State since 1999 against Nevada.
Uyunglele became the first Beaver player with 3 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing in the same game since at least 1996, making his performance just the 18th time a Pac-12 quarterback has done so since 1996.
1-0 to start the season, the Beavs welcomed UC Davis into the newly renovated Reser Stadium for the first time this season. Coming out hot was a point of emphasis for the Beavers as they scored the first 55 points of the game.
The win became the Beavers' 6th consecutive win, making it the tie from 2013 squad. It was also just their 3rd time in Jonathan Smith era that Oregon State held their opponent to fewer than 200 yards of offense.
And now closing out non-conference play, the Beavers defense showed up to defeat San Diego State. The defense held the Aztecs to just 70 yards rushing, which was more than 100 below their season average.
Included was 6 sacks, leading by Andrew Chatfield Jr. with 2, along with Isaiah Hodgins and Tariq Hickle.
Up north, the Beavers knew that Cam Ward and the Cougars were not going to go down easy.
Washington State's air raid offense was too much for Oregon State to handle as the Cougs handed the Beavs their first loss of the season.
But resiliency was still there after the team battled back from being down by 21 points in the 3rd quarter, and their schedule would only get tougher after the team left Pullman.
The Beavers then hosted the 10th-ranked Utes to open up conference play. They punched in the first score of the day with a drive from 4 yards out for Damian Martinez.
That lead doubled as DJU found Silas Bolden for a 27-yard touchdown pass early in the second half. The Utes avoided the shutout late with a touchdown, but it wasn't enough as the Beavers got their 3rd win against a ranked opponent in the Smith era.
Overall, man, I thought it was a great complimentary football game. I thought our defense did an unbelievable job today keeping us in the game. I thought Coach Bray did an unbelievable job calling some great plays. Defense got after him, and I thought our receivers did a good job making some good plays in space. Getting them the ball, they did a good job making people miss. Silas had an unbelievable game today, 2 touchdowns, running touchdown, receiving touchdown. I thought Josiah played great, and I thought Ant did good. But overall, man, I thought it was a great game, man, complimentary, but we still got work to do, like you said, and I think I definitely got a lot of work to do as myself. So as I go back out, if I go after this game, watch the film, just continue to keep getting better each and every day.
5-1, ready to face the Golden Bears. It was a night for Jack Velling.
Velling's 3 receiving touchdowns led the Beavers to their 10th straight win with 40 points or more. Oregon State posted at least 200 yards through the air for the 4th time in the season with the help of DJU's 275 and freshman Aiden Child's 21.
DJU found 4 different targets for a season best of 5 scores.
Homecoming in Corvallis brought something better than the alum back to Reser. With the win over UCLA, the Beavers secured bowl eligibility, becoming the quickest team in program history. The Beavs defense held the Bruins below their 258.8 passing yard average and limited them to just 169 through the air. 3 Beavers snagged interceptions off Dante Moore.
Coming off of a big win over the Bruins and now tied at 10 at halftime, the Beavers had to put an end to Arizona. But after a 75-yard touchdown pass to Jimmy Vaslin III, in just 44 seconds, the Wildcats used the clock to their advantage to hand Oregon State their 2nd loss of the season, and the Beavers had to jump back into a positive practice week ahead of a tough team in Colorado.
So the Beavers move in their challenge in Boulder.
Oregon State's defense completely shut down Colorado's chance at snagging at least one win over an Oregon team as they tallied 4 sacks, forced 2 fumbles, and held Colorado to -7 yards rushing.
Wow, the win marked the Beavers' first time going 7-2 since 2012.
And just like that, Oregon State secured the number 12 ranking in the AP polls, their highest ranking in program history.
And with it came some juice. The Beavers used a season-high 598 yards to defeat Stanford by a whopping 62-17. Sophomore Damian Martinez continued to show his leg strength with the first 4 half touchdowns as the Beavers scored 9 touchdowns on 13 drives and only punted twice.
So the Beavers head into one of their toughest matchups of the season.
Hosting Heisman hopeful Michael Penix Jr. and the Huskies on a rainy, cold Saturday night in Reser Stadium.
But it all came down to which team could limit the mistakes in such a difficult environment.
The Beavers were held well under their season averages in both passing and rushing yards and missed on a final attempt for a winning score on 4th and 5 situation at their own 47.
A new look for the Beavers in the quarterback room didn't hold Oregon State from sticking to the run game time after time to get the job done.
Here's John's thoughts about the Beavers this season.
Everything Oregon State wants to do is predicated with running the ball first and then play action with DJ. I think Oregon State's still a year away from Aiden Childs. He's going to be great. But I just think, I kind of agree with Jonathan Smith's decision to play DJ, down the stretch because he gave them the best chance to win. Unfortunately, their entire offense is predicated on running the football. And in today's world of college football, it's a quarterback-centric game.
And coming up, we'll break down what's next for Oregon, Oregon State, and the Pac-12 in general. Plus, could this be the final matchup between these two teams? That and more is coming up. You're watching Ducks versus Beavers Special.
Newswatch 12's Ducks versus Beavers Special, presented by Airport Chevy.
It's the Black Friday sales event at Lithia Chrysler Jeep Dodge of Medford. We're stocked up on a great selection of new vehicles from Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and of course Ram trucks. Choose from our great inventory of new 23 Jeep Gladiator and new 24 Grand Cherokee 4x4 models. Or test drive a new 24 Ram 1500 4x4. Shop online today with our online process to calculate your own payment, whether it's a lease, finance, or cash payment. Only at the Lithia Chrysler Jeep Dodge of Medford Superstore.
Don't wait weeks for high-quality dentures. Come to Court Street Denture Clinic. We handcraft each denture to fit your smile. Repairs, relines, or new dentures. We also offer free exams and discounts for seniors and veterans. Do you grind your teeth at night? Ask us about our night guards and mouth guards. Accepting new patients and most insurances. Serving the Rogue Valley for over 40 years. Court Street Denture Clinic. Give us a call today.
It's that time of year again, America. So let's light up the season during the Make the Holidays Bright sales event. Choose from a large inventory of Ford vehicles equipped with technology, space, and flexibility for any season. Get special offers on our adventure-ready SUVs or on our great selection of Ford trucks. And make the holidays bright with Ford. Get 1.9% APR on a well-equipped F-150 or 2.9% APR on a Bronco Sport plus $1,500 bonus cash only at your local Ford dealer.
This is Marissa. She's a caregiver. This is Mrs. C. She's a character. This is Marissa prepping, pulling, washing, organizing, and offering encouragement. This is her getting out of the house. This is her laughing and ending her day with a hug. Become a caregiver at New Horizons. Go to nhcares.com.
Welcome back to Ducks versus Beavers Special, presented by Airport Chevy.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. We've covered Ducks and Beavs, so now let's get into what's been going on in the Pac-12 for the past couple of weeks.
As we all know, earlier in this year, the Pac-12 was completely dismantled, leaving Oregon State and Washington State as the only two members left in the Pac.
The latest news from the realignment came last week at the Pac-12 hearing. The hearing was held in Whitman County Superior Court, and Judge Gary Leiby ruled that Oregon State and Washington State will be the only schools with seats on the board.
What this means is that the 10 departing schools will not have a seat on the board while they're still members of the conference for this next year, with nearly a 3-hour hearing of arguments from lawyers representing OSU and WSU, along with lawyers representing the Pac-12 conference and the University of Washington. OSU and WSU were granted the power to be the only school to vote and make decisions.
As the two remaining members of the conference, Oregon State and Washington State, were seeking a preliminary injunction to keep them as the only two members of the board, and they got what they wanted. The reason for their stance was the conference's bylaws, which said once a school delivers a notice of withdrawal, meaning an intent to leave, they would be removed from the board.
The time we got in there, it was pretty much evident that Oregon State, Washington State were going to win this thing. It was just a matter of the judge hearing both sides. There was no disagreement on the facts. Everybody agrees that, USC and UCLA, when they announced they were leaving, they lost their board seats. When Colorado announced they were leaving, they lost their board seat. So really, nobody disagrees on that. But what the 10 departing schools don't want is they don't want Oregon State and Washington State to take all the money that's coming in this fiscal year, $420 million, and keep it for themselves and then try to rebuild the conference with it. Oregon State and Washington State, meanwhile, are saying, hey, that's not our intention, but we do have some expenses and there's some potential liabilities down the road.
With the Pac-12 hearing favoring Oregon State and Washington State, the two remaining members of the Pac are looking to move forward with future plans. So what does this mean for the Beavers specifically? Oregon State wants to remain in the Pac-2 with Washington State and keep the Pac, or what's left of it, alive. They just now need a little help from another conference.
The Mountain West Conference would have, it has 12 members now. Six of them would play Washington State. 6 would play Oregon State. Both Washington State, Oregon State already have 3 non-conference games scheduled. You have the Beavers playing Idaho State, Boise State already on the schedule, and then a game at Purdue. And so what you would have is you've got 9 games now on your schedule. You play each other. That gets you a 10th game. That leaves you an 11th opportunity and a 12th opportunity.
As for the University of Oregon, they wiped their hands clean of the Pac-12 back in August and are off to the Big Ten come 2024. Dan Lanning spoke earlier in the season about what moving to a new conference will do for him and his team.
First off, I think our players are really excited about that. I think it's an exciting opportunity for us. We talk about what are we looking for at this university and the way that we recruit on a national level, multiple time zones, playing against the best of the best. That's something our guys were really, really excited about. Obviously, it's not really our focus right now. Right, we got an entire season to play. This is about 2023 season. It's what we want to attack, but I think that creates a unique student-athlete experience for our guys moving forward, and it certainly sets us up. Really appreciate Rob, administration, all the people at the top that did a great job looking out for the future of Oregon. I think that really protects us.
So the question that everyone has been asking is, will Oregon and Oregon State continue this historic rivalry?
The short and non-complicated answer is that both schools want to. It's just a matter of figuring out how the scheduling will work once Oregon leaves for the Big Ten.
Our goal would be to schedule Oregon State in every sport that's possible. Football scheduling can be complicated, because of how far out it is, and the difficulty of playing non-conference games later in the year, but our goal would be absolutely to continue to play Oregon State.
And let's take it back to the days of the Lemon Yellows and Coyotes, breaking down this rivalry from the beginning and what to expect this year, all coming up next.
Newswatch 12's Ducks vs. Beavers special, presented by Airport Chevy.
Be
Beat the clock this Friday at Ashley. Starting at 7 a.m., all furniture is an incredible 50% off. Plus, special financing for every budget. From 9 a.m. to noon, get 45% off your furniture purchase. Then, from noon to 7 p.m., get 40% off your entire furniture and mattress purchase. Get $300 in Ashley cash with a purchase of any Tempur-Pedic mattress. Shop Hot Buys all day long. Black Friday only at your Ashley in Medford and Roseburg.
Winter has arrived. But don't put off your adventures until spring. Whether it's taking your Chevy up a mountain to enjoy the snow, ice skating with the family, or exploring the back roads to a new destination, it doesn't matter where you want to go, as long as you remember to take your Chevy along for the ride. Test drive a Chevy today at your Southern Oregon Chevy dealers.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota equipment. Part of the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S., they offer the versatility and reliability to get the job done right, all year round. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $800.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com.
Exciting news. US Cellular has the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro with a stunning titanium design and the best iPhone camera yet. The thing that I love...
Beautiful. Now let's cue the music. Green screen and action.
US Cellular has the amazing new iPhone.
Come on, man. It's titanium.
US Cellular has the amazing new iPhone.
Cut. Love it.
That felt good.
New and current customers can get the iPhone 15 Pro with titanium on us. Get the gift of connection at US Cellular.
Welcome back to Ducks vs. Beavers Special, presented by Airport Chevy.
The Oregon-Oregon State rivalry has been around since 1894 and is rich in history. The first meeting between these two teams was only a scrimmage when the then Oregon Agricultural College Coyotes beat the then University of Orange Lemon Yellows with a final of 16-0.
Originally known as the Oregon Classic and a state championship game, the matchup that splits the state in two is the 5th longest standing rivalry game in college football.
Oregon holds the overall record of 66-51-10, their most recent loss coming last year.
Yeah, the Beavers were able to edge out the Ducks only by 4 points with a final of 38-34.
But this year's game, the Ducks are looking for some revenge.
Well, here's John's thoughts.
Well, Oregon State's going to come in with a lot of emotion, and that can work for you. It can work against you. I've seen it go both ways, but I think there's going to be more emotion in this game from the Oregon State side in particular than maybe any game in the 127-year history of the series. Like, this is going to be really interesting to see, do the Beavers walk through the gates with a chip on their shoulder, feeling like Oregon caused the dismantling of the Pac-12?
A really interesting game to say the least.
Interesting to say the least. Yeah, this will be historic for sure. Might be the last one, we don't really know, but I would say grab your Thanksgiving leftovers, but also make some popcorn because this is going to be a fun one.
And make sure you're sitting down as well because it's going to be interesting through the whole game. That wraps up our Ducks vs. Beavers special this season.
Thank you for joining us and have a happy Thanksgiving.